Hey, good afternoon, Leslie. I'm Joe Mitchell. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at SkillStorm. I've been with the company about 3 years. And what the company does is that we are a technology workforce design and development company. We help organizations in the commercial and federal sectors design, build, and deploy their tech workforce at scale. We also help them retain their tech workforce, and we'll talk more about that, obviously, as we get to know each other more here.
Hi, my name is Patrick Walsh. I'm the Executive Vice President for Training and Technology here. So I'm the technical guru, if you will. I lead all of the training programs, designing curriculum, hiring and grooming trainers and helping them grow their technical skills to be able to provide high quality technology services. And we also help select the next generation of talent, selecting them and improving their performance and making sure that they're able to operate at the level that our clients expect them to be able to operate.
Okay, and that's very interesting. I want to go back to that topic, but first, before we jump into all the details, can you guys talk a little bit about the massive deficit of talent in the tech space that exists currently in the United States, but also around the world?
So, look, there's a huge scarcity of talent in the US and across Europe. If you look at the US education system, there are 17 million people in higher ed today. Of the 17 million people, 4 million people graduate each year. And of the 4 million people that graduate, only 65,000 to 70,000 have some type of IT-related degree. And there are hundreds and hundreds of thousands of open roles going unfilled each and every year. And that number is just compounding on itself. Even with the recent announcements of tech force layoffs, what we're seeing is those people are getting jobs immediately, and the gap is still huge. There was a recent announcement about 700,000 open cyber roles. Now, even if we're double counting, it's still 350,000 open cyber roles today in the US. And how are we going to fill that? And I think a bigger challenge than that is, for many years, what we've done is we've outsourced our intellectual capital to other countries that have filled these roles very cheaply. And what that's also done is it's essentially created, this vacuum of not being able to fill these roles that are becoming more and more in demand and they're becoming more plentiful. It's also, to a certain extent, if you look at the number of open cybersecurity roles, it's also a national security risk. So how do we actually look to plug that gap? And we can't take 4 years to do it. A traditional education system isn't going to fill that gap. So how can we actually fill that gap? And it's through working with various organizations and working with the workforce and these commercial organizations to actually think about what are the types of skills that we need, not degrees, what are the types of skills that we need to ensure we can successfully either create the cyber engineers that we need, or the full stack engineers, or the cloud engineers that we need to really be competitive and stay competitive here in the US.
Yeah, and I think a point that's also very obvious but overlooked is potentially the risk of hiring people who are not qualified for these positions, right? I don't know if a lot of companies even know how to hire or what to look for who's qualified. One, does the company even know what they need? Do they need a developer? Do they need an IT person? Do they need something else? And then how do you find somebody that's qualified? So I think that is further compounding the problem in the national security risk, right? Of like, one, you have all these gaps, but are they the right gaps? Are we filling with the right positions? So, your company says you look for, you're selecting the talent, right? And you're determining the talent you need. How do you select the next talent? Like, what do you guys look for in, these tech professionals?
Sure. I'm happy to start with how we're selecting it and the unique ways we're identifying talent. And then Patrick, if you could talk to what we're actually looking for when we find the talent to bring into our program. So we're working today with universities all across the country, from Florida to New York to California, And we've actually integrated as authorized training partners for Amazon, for Salesforce, for CompTIA, for Pega, for Appian. We have now integrated programs in many schools across the country to train their students and their graduates in today's most in-demand technologies. So what we're doing is we're getting early access to see which of these college students and recent graduates have the technical capability to be able to attain some very basic industry credentials and some advanced industry credentials, actually. We're also working very closely with the VA. This year alone, we're going to train over 1,000 transitioning service members and veterans in cloud, cyber, and full stack development. So we have unprecedented early access to people who are looking to get into the technology field, where we're training them for anywhere between 8 weeks and 16 weeks prior to even bringing them into our organization.
Right. Yeah. And I think, just kind of tying it back to your original question, the first question, the rapid pace of technology change makes it even more difficult. So, when we look at the goalposts continuing to change, it's cloud. People are going to cloud. People are breaking down monoliths into microservices. The technology keeps changing. And so that's where, we're able to stay on top of that change. And we get what we get from colleges, right? You have to start somewhere. So college does a really good job of getting people the basic foundations of computer science, networking, computing, databases, disks, all that stuff that's necessary to get into the field. And then we build on top of that. So we work backward from what our clients are telling us, what jobs are out there, working backward from their needs. As you said, what are you qualified? What is it required to do this job? Work backward from that and scope out, well, where are people coming out with? What knowledge do they have coming out from college? And then our program is designed to fill that gap specifically from that job, those job qualifications, back to where the candidates are coming from. And particularly in our vet tech program as a VA preferred provider, we're taking a big risk on that. Like we train these people without any obligation of getting paid unless we find these people jobs. So everything we do here is all about tangible job outcomes, right? We train people, not to a curriculum that we feel is right, but to what the market is demanding.
So I have one question about the skill set. So the candidates that you look for, do they already have a baseline set of skills, like from a college, and besides the VA program? But like, do these people come to you with a certain baseline, and you kind of apply your learning and training on top of that?
Yeah, that depends on the program. So as Joe said, we work with universities to provide certification programs. So for that, they're all still sometimes college graduates. We work with the School of Continuing Ed with a lot of our partners. So people coming from various backgrounds and different proficiency levels. In our VA program, with our vet tech program, a lot of people come in with maybe some skills, but it's all the job skills that they learned in the military, doing radio comms, right? Working with missiles and tanks and stuff. And so they have some kind of skills that they're able to build on top of and move into cyber and cloud. A lot of people tinker with hardware in the military and then want to find something to apply that to in the world. And cyber and cloud seem to be a natural transition for them. But everyone comes from different walks of life. For some of our programs, yes, we have, when we groom people to get into some of the largest GSIs and companies out there, it's about finding the people who are the premier, the top talent in those programs. So we really try to find programs that really cater to everybody to try to address the problem from different angles.
So with that being said, have you guys noticed any, or do you specifically look for soft skills, things that, are like maybe innate to certain people, like a sense of the people that want to, well, one, they, have to want to be there and want to do this job, but are there other things or attributes that you look for that are indicators of high performing tech professionals?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for people who come in with really strong soft skills. We work with, 4 of the big 5 organizations, the GSIs essentially. So a lot of the folks there are client facing. So you have to be a great communicator, a great collaborator, a great team player. So we're really looking at, their entire background. What have they done prior to coming into or joining SkillStorm? Have they got experience in managing teams, leading teams, whether they're student groups or associations, or whether it's in the military. What experience do they have being part of teams and leading groups? So yes, we're always constantly looking for that. And, are they good collaborators? And I'll let Patrick talk to it, because obviously in these sprints, we need to be able to, make sure that they can work together collectively.
Yeah. Yeah, we design programs that are built around experiential project-based learning. So, they develop something together on a team. So we see, can they collaborate on a team building a product together? When they get to the job, they have to be able to do that. They have to be able to present a solution to a client and describe and defend their positioning for why they chose to architect something a certain way. All of those skills are things that we put into our program to get people job ready in a client-facing capacity.
So how long on average, or maybe low range to high range, how long does it take to take somebody who maybe already has some college, either credits or a degree? How long does it take to train these people to get them ready to deliver to clients, like in the real world?
Yeah, generally anywhere from 10 to 12 weeks for most people that come out of maybe a CS degree, IT background, someone not necessarily with a STEM degree, but maybe they've already done some coding just as a hobby or something like that. Those people take about 10 to 12 weeks, because we build on top of the foundation that the education system provides and give them those skills specifically. So if you're, say, a cyber engineer or someone who's aspiring to get into cyber, maybe a bachelor's degree in CS or cybersecurity, maybe you get an A+, a Network Plus or Security Plus certification. That helps you understand foundational cyber concepts. But then our clients are saying, well, we've got a Zscaler project, or we're doing an IAM implementation, or we're using Splunk and SOAR platforms. These are things that colleges are not going out and grabbing all of those tools, but that's what you need to be productive day one. So that's what we focus on filling the gap, is the job skills, but the foundational skills need to be there for you to be able to appreciate what you're building in those tools.
Yeah. And is this full time, like 8 hours a day for 10 to 12 weeks?
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, it can even go up to 16 weeks, depending on the specific technologies that they're looking for. As Patrick mentioned, we're essentially designing the workforce for our clients. So they will come to us and they'll say, we need a cyber engineer with these skills, or we need a cloud engineer with these skills, or we need a full stack engineer with these skills. And we design the curriculum and then we deploy people at scale. So this isn't one or two. This is 10, 20, 100, 200 people at a time, or over a period of time, that we can deploy with exactly the skills that they need. So the time varies based on the skill set.
So with all of the job openings and all of this talent shortage, you guys are churning out, all of these highly qualified and skilled professionals. How do you prevent them from leaving? Because the same thing kind of happens in the intelligence community. Anybody who has a security clearance already has a job, and yet, clearancejobs.com, right? Like that's where you go to try to find another intel job. And we already all have jobs. We're just moving around. So how do you kind of prevent your, highly skilled people from being poached immediately?
Yeah. So a great question. And, I think really I've got a twofold answer to that. One is, most importantly, we're making an enormous investment in the professional development of these people, young professionals who are emerging into the tech field. And it's on us to essentially make sure that they are treated well, they are trained incredibly well, and they're up to a certain standard. And most importantly, training is and learning tech is something that you're constantly doing. It never stops. So we continue to provide professional development above and beyond the 12 or 16 weeks, so that this goes on for 2 years or more. In fact, we have a program, it's called Stormer for Life. And if you're with us for 2 years, you continue to get all of your courses at no cost, so that you can continue to progress professionally. That's the first part, which I think is by far and away the most important. And I think the people who we work with really value the investment that we're making in helping to launch their careers as essentially mid-level professionals. The second part is, because we're making such an investment, they work with us and they have an agreement that they will stay with us for 2 years, which gives a lot of reassurance to our clients that those folks are going to be there. And we have a 98% retention rate. as part of this, which we're very proud of. But I'd say the most important factor is that we treat everybody really well and we provide enormous professional development and growth opportunities.
Yeah, and one thing I'd add to that, I don't think that the mission of the company is about creating an army of contractors who are out on projects. We're about building talent. We're not a consulting firm doing services with billable contractors. That's not what our core business is. So I think the main thing that really addressing a problem in the field now is just, particularly in the DoD space. I lived in the DMV area for a while. Everybody's got the badge and they just recycle from one project to another. And so what we're trying to address, not just from our perspective and having billing contractors, but it's about getting more people in the industry, creating net new talent, finding more people that, because a typical staffing firm just looks at the same pile of resumes that every other staffing firm looks at. So we're trying to inject new talent in, and whether those people stay with us at SkillStorm for their whole career, that's not really our goal. Our goal is to create opportunity, help people get further faster after their relationship with SkillStorm.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is a perfect segue. How do veterans get into this vet tech program? Is that something that's closed and moving forward, or is this something that you're always looking for new vets to help?
Yeah, no, every single month we are enrolling between 80 and 120 transitioning service members and veterans into our program. We'll work very closely with the VA. You can find us on the VA's website. You can come directly to SkillStorm and apply. It's very easy. It's a one-click apply for any veteran who's interested in entering the tech field to sign up and to inquire about their eligibility. And we'd encourage any veteran looking to get into tech to consider this, because this program is a 16-week program. And it's a 640-hour immersive program with exactly the same rigor that we provide for our, large GSIs and end clients.
And do you know off the top of your head what the eligibility criteria are? Do they have to be recent veterans? Do they have to be current service members transitioning currently, or can people who maybe got out 10 or 15 years ago?
So the answer to that is it's both. So we're also a SkillBridge provider, approved provider. So that means transitioning service members in the last 6 months, could join this program and will be eligible for it. And veterans are also eligible for it. So if you have 1 day of eligibility with your GI Bill, just 1 day, it doesn't impact your GI Bill. But if you have 1 day of eligibility, you're typically eligible for this vet tech program.
And what about MOSs? Are they restricted? Are you looking for only certain MOSs, like a 25 series in the Army, or is it open to any MOS?
It's open to anyone and everyone. And we've got captains, we have the whole, spectrum of people in the military, from people who have been in for 4 or 5 years to people who have been in for 25 years. It really is. It's a great group of people and a really diverse group of people. It's excellent.
We've had Marine Corps machine gunners do well in our program. So it depends on.
You have to take the crayons out of their mouth so that they don't eat the crayons.
Yeah, we use markers.
Okay, good.
So we have a rigorous screening process for some of our other programs. For the vet tech program, the screening process is just based on the desire, the innate ability. So we have a couple assessments that they do. They're a pretty brief assessment process, games that they play to check for problem solving and pattern recognition. Those kind of raw skills that are there. We do an assessment, a verbal interview with our training team to check to see that they have just basic computer understanding and things like that. So there's some, right? Because we do want people that are here that maybe know a little bit more than just like a typical iPhone user, right? They should know a little bit about computers before getting started, but nowhere near what we expect for maybe someone coming out from a 4-year degree program. That's definitely not the expectation for our vet tech program.
So speaking broadly about everybody who finishes, do they earn certifications during this program, or is that something they already have going into it, or are they able to earn them through the program?
Yeah, the goal of all of our programs is to get industry credentials. So for, say, our cyber programs, minimum expectation, people are coming out with a Security Plus, and many of them coming out with a CISA Plus or a Pen Test Plus. We have an AWS program that is the goal is to get the solutions architect associate and teach them DevOps tools. And our Java program focuses on the Oracle certified associate. So everything that badge at the end gives them something that says, here's an industry recognized credential that says that validates my knowledge in that technical space.
Yeah, and this is a perfect segue back to kind of the topic we, started with originally, is the DoD's new 8140 manual that it puts a timeline on these qualification requirements. It's 2 years for cybersecurity professionals with those work roles, and then 3 years for all of the other. So I would be interested to see how your company over the next 2 years maps everything that you're doing to the 8140, because DoD is the largest agency in the entire world, let alone the federal government. So I imagine you guys have a lot of professionals that you're training to support defense contracts, and they will have to be qualified on day one. And we don't have too much time because these are typically short interviews, short and to the point. But I just want to kind of condense everything that you've told me about what it takes to create a fully qualified cyber professional. So first, you have to find the talent. You go out and you're actively looking at universities, you're looking at, the VA, military. Then you give them assessments to figure out if they have the aptitude or, the potential to learn. Then you train them between 10 to 16 weeks, full days. Some of them already have a foundation. You're teaching these job skills, then you treat them well, and then you value them. You let them know that they're valued. And then you provide continual training and professional development. How in the world are small businesses or the Department of Defense as a federal agency, and even other federal agencies, how are they supposed to do that? Or like you guys are turning out, hundreds of professionals every year, and obviously the government is having an issue with that. How can the government, or how can you guys help the government, or figure out some sort of way to scale this whole operation so that it's not just you guys, and these other companies doing similar things? How can they compete? How does the DoD do this? Any suggestions? Because I feel like they're struggling with this too. And this is your whole business model. And that's not their business model, right? They're in the business of national security and defense. So how do you?
No, it's a great question. And I think there's no one silver bullet, right? There's no one way to fix this. And there's plenty of opportunity for, education to weigh in and to help, and for workforce development organizations similar to ourselves to help, and for the large and small federal contractors to help. And we're actually working directly with the large and the small federal contractors who have these cyber needs and cloud needs and the like. But what we're doing, there's two ways in which we're addressing it. One is what we've talked about today, which is working with federal contractors to understand their needs, what they look like today and what they'll look like in 6, 12, 18 months' time, so that we can help them scale the number of people that they need in order to fulfill these projects. The other thing that we're doing, and we're doing this in collaboration actually with Clearance Jobs, is we're providing all of these industry credential courses through Clearance Jobs now to all Clearance Jobs members. So the same teams that are essentially training these engineers here at SkillStorm, and also training students at universities and college graduates, we're now, with our partnership with Clearance Jobs, actually opening this up to members of Clearance Jobs, so that you could gain these industry credentials, whether it's CompTIA or whether it's AWS or Salesforce or whatever credentials that people are interested in gaining, so that those folks can actually access these careers too, with or without SkillStorm. So you could use the Clearance Jobs platform. Once you've got the skills, you can use the Clearance Jobs platform to find talent yourself. And we're integrating actually essentially a pool of exclusive pool of people that we have into the Clearance Jobs platform to make them more accessible to the small organizations, the small federal organizations, that we can, they can hire one or two rather than hire 100. at a time. So I think there are many ways that we can address it. We just cannot, and there's no one organization that can address it collectively. We all have to work together. This is a real big issue, and it's going to take many, many years to solve.
Yeah. And if you've taught me nothing else, it's that you literally cannot hire anybody off the street, right? Like it takes a lot to create a qualified cyber professional, and one cyber professional is not the same as the next cyber professional, right? And they're all very niche and require specialized training. So yeah, this is a huge problem. And I think you guys have a great, operation and churning out all of these qualified professionals. I think this is fantastic. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about or highlight or mention that we haven't
on that
about?
point? I definitely think that this is kind of an assembly line operation, right? I think everybody seems to think that they can do it all themselves, right? College is supposed to do all of the learning, and then people are just supposed to be job ready. I think the way that tech has evolved over the years, that's not the case. You have to have some sort of program after college that takes you to the next step. So kind of a daisy chain of all these different services and an assembly line to get people actually ready to do the job. So it starts at college, but that's not the end. So it's just another place to plug in. And that's what we try to do, is we plug into large organizations and try to give this last mile training at scale is our goal.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's as Patrick mentioned, it's all about us being able to understand today's and tomorrow's workforce needs and working backwards from that. To give people skills. And I think what we are seeing is, given the huge skills gap that exists today, as we're seeing more and more companies actually remove the degree requirement and move to skills-based hiring over degree-based hiring. I think I heard somebody say the other day, a degree gets you a promotion, skills get you jobs, right? Yeah. And if you've got the right skills, you can always get the degree. So, our ability to find the right people in the right places, whether you're in the military or whether you're in the education system, and given, providing they've got the right soft skills and the right aptitude, our ability to give those folks the skills that they need to be impactful day one and hit the ground running is really important to these organizations. And I think that is one of the biggest things I think we can take away from this, is that the organizations that we work with, they want us to make all the investment so that the people who join their organization is immediately productive day one. So there's no hand-holding day one, that they immediately hit the ground running. And I think that's a really big piece.
Who can afford to do everything that you're doing? Like, no company, I don't care how big you are or how small and niche you are, no company can afford to do and put in the investment that you guys are investing in these people to make sure that they're ready to go on day one. So this is almost like an essential first mile instead of the last mile. This is like the first mile to even get into a company, or last mile, however, but yeah, it's essential because it's the missing link. So this is fantastic. Thank you for, taking the time to talk to me and tell me about your company and share what you guys are doing. I think it's awesome. Cyber workforce has been a passion of mine, working in, DoD CIO in the workforce division, seeing this policy finally come out. And I think the qualification matrix that they're putting together for each work role acknowledges your point about it's not the degrees that are necessarily important, it's the skills. And I think DoD is finally recognizing that in policy so that we can maybe, get away from this hard and fast degree requirement and move towards skills, and I have lots of degrees. It's not that I don't love school. I love school. Yeah. I'm in law school right now, but it's the skills that are important, not the pictures on your wall. So thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you today. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to Defense Tech Cast, your deep dive into CMMC, CUI, and all of the cybersecurity hot topics affecting the defense space today. Brought to you by clearancejobs.com.